Hello! Hey everybody, how's it going? It is Sunday afternoon here in Vegas. I hope everyone has had a good weekend. I hope that you've taken a little bit of time to hopefully do something fun, something relaxing, and also maybe gotten some work done. I know I've been working all weekend. But anyway, so I wanted to do a video today. This one is geared more towards, well, completely towards people who sell clothing and accessories. So if you sell clothing, clothing accessories, or if you're thinking about selling clothing, like on eBay or any of the other sites, then hopefully you're going to get something out of this. If you don't sell clothing or do anything like that, then you're probably not going to find this video too exciting. But I am going to make it up to you, and I'm going to give you this right now. All right, so, and then I'll have one more little surprise towards the end, so if you stick around, you'll get to see something else. But anyway, so to get into this video, what I want to talk about today is measurements. Now, if you sell clothing or if you buy clothing online, like measurements are super important, right? You know, there's sizes, there's like small, medium, large, extra large, there's numbered sizes, but in reality, like those aren't, like they're not the same across brands. Even within brands, they're not the same. And so if you're selling clothes online, you really should be including measurements in your listings. You can either write down the measurements in your description, or some people take pictures of like the clothing with the tape measure on it, or they write down the measurements. I actually use a site called Sizely. I have been for a couple of years. But it is really important, especially now that we're talking a lot about, you know, returns and doing free returns. Like, what can you do to hopefully reduce returns? And I think one of those ways is to make sure that you thoroughly describe the stuff that you're listing, and that includes measurements. You know, sometimes I'm like trying to list something like a jacket or a shirt, and, you know, I do a lot of vintage stuff, so sometimes like the tag's missing. And so I don't necessarily know what size it is. So what I will do is I'll go on eBay and I'll search for, you know, the same brand or whatever. Let's say it's a Nike jacket. It's a vintage Nike windbreaker, let's say. So I'll go, you know, look for a vintage Nike windbreaker. And then I'll look at current listings and I'll try to find one where it shows the actual measurements, right? And it is crazy how many sellers do not put measurements in their listings at all. Like, there's so many of them. And I find even more often it actually happens when it's a new item. Like, they just assume that if you just say large that people know what that means. And the reality is that measurements are really not the same across the board. You know, in some companies, you know, even websites, like let's say you go to LLbean or something like that, .com, they'll have like a size chart, right? But even within a brand, like a large, you know, long sleeve button down shirt isn't going to be the same measurement as a large t-shirt. It just isn't in reality. So even those companies, I don't feel like it's very accurate, like when they have a size chart. So I like to include measurements of all my stuff, the actual measurements. And again, I use Sizely. So this video is going to be all about Sizely.com. And just full disclosure, like this isn't sponsored by Sizely, I'm not getting any money for it, but I am going to be using a referral link in the description. So if you go through that referral link and you happen to sign up for Sizely after you watch this video, you know, it's not like any money, but when you're a member of the site, if you get like a certain number of referrals, you'll get like a couple months free or a whole year free of their service. So if you don't want me to get any credit for it, feel free to go directly to the site and check it out. But anyway, so we're going to be talking about Sizely today. Like I said, I've been using it for like 2 years now, almost the entire time that I've been on eBay selling clothes. I think for a little while I didn't use it, and I found it and I thought it was a great idea. I like being able to see where the measurements are. So it's similar to like the people that use a tape measure in the picture, like being able to like visually see where the measurements are being taken. I just feel like it makes it a more professional listing. It gives that information to the buyer so they know exactly what the measurements are. And so I've been using it for like 2 years. I tell people about it all the time. And probably like about a year ago, I remember going on there and they had like a little thing where you could put your contact information, because they were talking about upgrading their site and they wanted to know, people wanted information about it. And I was really excited because, like I said, I've used it for 2 years. I love the concept of using these templates where it visually shows measurements, but it was somewhat limited. I think there were like 15 or 16 templates at the time, and they weren't all, they didn't have some of the ones that I needed to use. So a lot of times I would end up just using like the sweatshirt template for something like a jacket. So it worked, like logistically it worked, but it wasn't like necessarily the best representation of like what I was selling. So I was actually excited about the prospect of them like going to a paid version, as weird as that sounds, because I use it, like I said, I use it for every single clothing listing. So I want it to be the best tool that it could possibly be. That it can possibly be. So what I'm going to do in this video is I'm actually going to go now to show you guys my computer screen, so that I can kind of walk you through it and show you what it is, how it works, kind of like what the benefits of it are, and then also, you know, there are some downsides to it, but I will show you guys that. I'm going to switch over to that right now. Okay, so we're going to start out looking at the original Sizely website, and I was actually wrong. The website is not sizely.com, it's www.size.ly, so Sizely. And so here's actually, we'll go with the real one, so www.size.ly. Anyway, so let's look at this, let's look at the old version. I actually used the Wayback Machine to look at the Internet Archive so we could look at the old version of the website, since obviously the new version is going to be totally different. So this is what I've been using for the last couple of years. And it was just a free service, a free site. You could go on here. I think there's about like 15 or 16 different templates. And so you can see here for tops, they had dress shirt female, t-shirt, t-shirt female, sweatshirt, long dress, short dress, tight dress. This is like a short sleeve button down, polo shirt, and then a men's blazer jacket. And then you could go down here and you had jeans, women's jeans, shorts, a skirt, dress pants, and that's pretty much it for pants. And then they actually had, for some reason, the other thing they have is like a bunch of different glasses, which I think is pretty cool if you do sell glasses. So kind of looking at the different styles. And you can see like they have all the different inputs here for different measurements. Here you can use millimeters or inches. So these are all the different templates that used to be on here. I hate listing pants, so to be honest, like I don't buy jeans or pants very often. So the majority of my listings, I use this top part here. I do a lot of jackets, and you'll notice here there's no template for just a regular jacket. So what I've been using actually is just the sweatshirt template. So for example, I'll show you one of my current listings that I have using this old website. This is Prison Blues denim trucker jacket. And so if you go to my last pictures, I would do two different ones, one for inches and one for centimeters. You can see here it says inch, and I have the measurements. I have the length, the shoulder, the arm, and then underarm to underarm, so they can get the chest measurement. And again, I would do, so I do inches and then in centimeters. But I had to use the sweatshirt template because I didn't have one for jackets. But that's fine, you know, it gives the information that's needed, so it worked fine. So anyway, so that's what I would do. And so you would go in here, and so let's say for a t-shirt, you know, switch it over to inches. For t-shirts, I pretty much just do length and chest. And so what I would do, let's say it's 27 inches in length, and let's say the chest is, let's say 22 inches, right? So you have here your inches, you can toggle over to centimeters, and it automatically would tell you what the proper measurements were in centimeters. So anyway, so back over to inches here, I'd go over to generate image. And this isn't actually going to work because it's, again, it's the old website. So anyway, so I would measure, I would do the inches, it would give me the picture, I would download that, and then I would upload that, and I would use that in my pictures, as you can see. And I always put see pics for detailed measurements. I also have it down in my description. See pictures for detailed measurements. So they would know to make sure to look in the pictures and they'd be able to see that the measurements are right there. So anyway, so that's how I would do it. And now I would have to do two different pictures, as you saw, one for inches and one for centimeters. And so I do this, generate the picture, and I go back, and there was this weird glitch on the site that I was never able to figure out how to fix it. But when you would go back, these numbers would be all messed up. It's like, well, you can see right now, see how it says 10 3/4 and 8 3/4? Like, I don't know why it would do that, but so you couldn't just go back and then toggle the centimeters because then the measurements would be all wrong. So basically every single time I would have to enter in my inches, get the picture, go back, re-enter in my inches, then flip it over to centimeters because I wasn't going to like measure for centimeters. So I let it go ahead and calculate that. So it was a little inconvenient and it took a little bit of extra time, but I really felt like it was worth it because I just like to have that feature on my listings. Okay, so let's jump over to the new website. So this is the new website. Let's see, this is just showing the cost. So anyway, so when you first go in, so this is where it's at. And so now there is a free level. I'm gonna go ahead and show that to you. So yeah, so you go down and you see that it has, it kind of breaks down the pricing. So there's a starter level. This one's free. There's 25 template designs. Now, at first glance, you're like, okay, the old one had like 16. This one has 25, so this is better than the old one. You know, the starter, I'd say the starter is good for trying it out and testing it out, but I actually went here. Let me show you. Let's see if I can pull this over here. I went ahead and made a second account just so I could show you what the starter looks like. So this is a starter. This one's free. Now they have more variety of things. Like they have underwear, they have kids stuff, they had shoes now, they have glasses, they have accessories. They didn't have accessories before, the miscellaneous. But I will say that the starter version really is more about like you testing it out. Doesn't really have quite the variety that you would need, like tops. All they have is a dress shirt for female. They don't have men's dress shirt or button down shirt. They have a t-shirt for male, t-shirt for female. And then that's pretty much it for tops other than this outerwear. They have a blazer jacket for female, a puffer jacket. There's no blazer for men. And then you go all the way down to miscellaneous. There's an apron and a motorcycle jacket. So kind of cool that they have like this variety. I love that they have hats now. Again, they had the glasses before, and it's cool that they have shoes. But it is pretty limited. So I'd say like you can try out doing the starter one just to like test it out and see if it's even something that you would want to use. But it is pretty limited. Now I am going to go ahead and get this out of the way. So you can see the breakdown. You can get billed annually, you can get billed monthly. Personally, I went with the Pro. If you also look like at the starter, you can only do 30 templates a month. So basically like, you know, if you could even use all the, you know, those templates, you could only do 30 of them. And then 30-day secure image hosting. The Plus, you get 50 template designs. I don't know what's in that completely because I think you can compare, but it just shows you the list. It doesn't really tell you. You can't see the example of the templates. But it does show you kind of the difference between the different plans and like all the different variety of things you can get. So, you know, you might be able to get, let's say they got underwear, they got tops, still pretty limited. There's like a few more options. You do have like a button down shirt for men, so that's good. You have a hoodie here. So you do have like some more options if you wanted to just try this one out. So go ahead and close this. And then you get 100 templates a month. So, I mean, if you do under 100 listings a month, which a lot of people don't do more than 100 listings in a month, it would work for you all right. And then 365-day secure image hosting. Now, I don't do image hosting at all. I actually download the picture and then upload it as a you know, a picture into just my pictures. So I guess the image hosting, if you happen to be somebody, if you have like a, you know, this isn't just for eBay, this is for people who have like professional websites, like anybody can use it. So just depending on like how it is that you do your pictures, I don't know. But for me, it just makes more sense to download them. So I'm actually doing the Pro level. This is a no-brainer for me. I exclusively list clothing on eBay. And so, and I'm listing anywhere from 200 to 300 new items every month. So I really needed to have the unlimited templates. Again, I don't use the image hosting, so that doesn't really matter to me. And then there are over 100, I think it's like 107 template designs. It's if you pay like a year in advance, it's $7 a month. But if you go monthly, it's only $8 a month. It's like $1 difference. So right now I'm just doing monthly. But so it's like, maybe just spend the $8 and see, if it's going to work for you. Okay, so now let me go ahead. I don't think I'm signed in. So let me go ahead and log into this. Okay, so now we get down to the good stuff. So I have the highest level, other than there is like a custom level that's like $150 a month, I think. And then that's like if you are like an actual like big company and you need to get custom templates made. I don't need custom templates made. They pretty much have everything I need on here for the most part. There's a couple exceptions, which I will talk about here in a second. But for tops, they really have like a good variety. Like for blouses, women's shirts, they don't all look like this button down fitted. They have capris here, which that's not really a top, but let's see, cardigan, crop top, dolman top, don't even know what that is. Must be some sort of ladies top. Down vest, dress vest. The other one, the original site didn't have vests. Again, I would just use, I'd use like a t-shirt template or something like that, because all I really cared about was getting the length and the underarm to underarm, so it was fine. Henley, long sleeve classic. Yeah, they didn't have anything for like a long sleeve t-shirt. Long sleeve polo, they didn't have a long sleeve polo. Again, I would just use the sweatshirt template. So it's cool to see this kind of variety in here. Now they have tank tops, they have turtlenecks, they have a Western shirt. So they really kind of went all out. There's a lot of varieties of bomber jacket, blazer for men, t-shirts, sweatshirts. They just have like a lot more variety. The bottoms, they have like a million different kinds of shorts, flare jeans, just pretty much anything you can think of. Outerwear, they have puffer jacket, pea coat, trench coat. Again, like every once in a while I'd list a trench coat or an overcoat and I'd have to use a sweatshirt template. So it's cool to see like this variety here. Windbreaker, down jacket. Now they have underwear. They didn't have underwear before. I don't sell underwear, but some people do. So now you have this for measurements. They have more dress varieties. They have kids stuff. I don't sell kids stuff hardly ever, but every once in a while, like if I find something that like a onesie, which you're not really, don't ever use that word unless it's an actual onesie, but they have onesie on here. But it's nice to be able to look at this, and sometimes it's like a little weird, like how do you measure, where do you measure at, how do you demonstrate where you measured. So this is, again, it's just nice to be able to see the variety of the measurements here. Also they have shoes. I'm a little disappointed that they don't have any men's shoes, and hopefully, I know that they're working on more templates, so hopefully they're gonna, I sell shoes. They don't have any kind of sports shoes, any athletic shoes. This is all kind of geared towards women's shoes, which I get. There's a little bit more questions when women are buying shoes, like these heels and stuff like that, wanting to know exactly what these measurements are. But it would be nice to be able to show measurements for men's shoes. So here we have glasses. There's even more variety here than what they used to have. Now this I think is really cool. They have accessories now. They didn't have, other than the glasses, they didn't have accessories like this on the old site. I love that there's like, sometimes when you're listing caps, it can be really, it's like, who knows what you measure? What do you show other than the inside of the hat? So this actually gives you can do the circumference, you can do the arc, you can do the beak of the hat. So that's pretty cool. Let's see here. They have like these kind of hats, they have gloves, they have scarves, they have ties, they have duffel bags, they have belts, watches, and some of this miscellaneous stuff. Now coveralls, every once in a while I do list some coveralls, and they are a pain because of the measurements. It's like you don't even know like where to measure, and so this has like it's nice to be able to see this and actually see all these measurements. Now I don't put all of these different measurements into my listings, and I'm going to show you here, give you an example, since we can actually do it on this site, the new site. I can show you kind of how it works. And they got a motorcycle, suit, overalls, luggage, so pretty cool. Anyway, so let's go up. I'm going to show you an example. Again, I'm just going to do, well, let's do her jeans. Okay, so you're listing a pair of jeans, right? So I always enter in inches because obviously I measure my things in inches. Um, Now the old site did give you the option of like doing like a half, like you would put in, let's say for the waist, I'm going to do 18 inches. If it was 18 and a half, there would actually be a little drop down and it would go to a half. Here you would actually have to do, you have to actually put in like a decimal point. So let's say 18 and a half. And then it just depends on like what you measure. So let's say I measure the rise and the rise is 11 inches. And then I do the inseam and that is, let's say 32. And then I usually do, if when I do list jeans, I will show the opening here. And so let's say 8 inches, let's say these are a pair of like 501s, so they're pretty straight. And let's see the length. I mean, I guess it'd probably be somewhere around like 42 inches. Okay, so they show knee here. I don't include knee measurements. They show thigh, they show hip. Those are probably more important measurements when you are dealing with like women's jeans. But with men's, like it's not that big of a deal. So I'm not going to put those in there. And you'll see that when I generate it, these will go away. It's only going to show the measurements and the lines for the things that you enter. Okay, now this is the really cool part. So when I was telling you earlier how I would have to do the inches, I'd have to download that image and I have to go back, re-enter the numbers and put in the centimeters. You can toggle on here, but the best part about this new one is that now I can click display both. Okay, so you can also do hide logo. I don't need a hide logo, it's fine. So I do display both. Okay, then you have down here, you can enter information down here, like the brand and the size. Now, I don't do that because when I'm listing, I'm constantly going back and like using the same templates and re-entering things in, and I don't want to have to like change this out every time I do a new listing. It's just really a pain. So I just leave it like this. So now I'm going to hit generate. So it's going to take, now it takes a little longer than it used to. I don't know if it's because it's like got to figure out like the second set of numbers, but it used to go a little bit faster, but that's fine. So we just wait here a second and they are going to generate my Sizely. So here we go. Again, this takes a little bit longer than it used to. Okay, so now you have the option of you can copy the link URL. You can copy the HTML code if you're like building it into your website and you're having them host it. Or you can just save the image. So here's the image. Now you can see now it only shows the little line and the measurement for the actual things that you put in. And you'll see that now it says here at the waist, it says 18.5 inches, 47 centimeters. So it shows both. So I do international shipping. I try to make things as easy as possible for all my buyers. So I know that like, people who are shopping overseas, it's like I'm sure that they probably are better than we are at like calculating the differences because they do shop a lot more online probably than we do internationally. But I like to make it easier. I want them to see 47 centimeters, not have to like do the math in their head or calculate or whatever. So anyway, so I love that it shows both. So now not only is it faster for me to get this image, but it also only takes one picture up on my listing. And so I'm going to show you, I've only done one so far, one listing that required measurements. I pretty much exclusively sell men's clothing, but I did find these super awesome Polo Ralph Lauren women's blazers. So we've got some of these listed because they're super awesome. So here's my listing. And if you go down to my pictures, you go through and get to the very last picture, there I have my new Sizely. So it's got like both measurements. So I am loving this. I'm really stoked about it. So overall, I'm super excited about the site. I'm glad that they've updated to a professional site to where you can actually like pay for the service because it does provide a lot more. I did have a couple questions for them and I reached out and they answered me right away. So they really are responsive. So I'll show you the one thing, probably the main thing that I'm a little bummed about. So there are certain items, and here's an example. This tends to happen a lot in like bomber jackets, but there's different types of jackets and even some shirts. And it's also the same thing with trench coats. The way that they are made, I don't know how well you can see it in this picture, but there's no shoulder seam. I'm gonna make this bigger. So in most jackets and most shirts, there's a shoulder seam, right? There's like it's sewn like right here. Well, in certain like bomber jackets like this, there's no shoulder seam. It just goes, the material goes straight all the way down the arm, right? So if you are trying to show the measurements, now let's go look at they have a bomber jacket in here. And some of the stuff is a little bit, it's categorized a little strangely, but so that's not in the bomber jacket's over here. Okay. So when you look at their bomber jacket, they have shoulder seams. So I can't use this because it's like the measurement, I can't just guess where the shoulders are because I want my measurements to be as accurate as possible. But I need to have a template where it just shows a line all the way down that I can put that number in. But they don't have that here. It's not the end of the world. It just means that for those ones, I can't use a picture. I don't have, you'll see, I don't have it. I actually have to put that into my description. I put in the measurements here. I'm hoping that they'll fix that. I reached out, I let them know, I gave them some examples of like listings I had where I wasn't able to use their templates. And so I'm hoping that they're going to work on that, even if it's just like a really simple couple of templates that will deal with that. I would be super happy because I do hate that like I can't show the measurements for a jacket like this. But that's probably like my one complaint about what they have right now, because it's like they have so many templates and it's kind of a bummer that that's like the one thing that they don't have. But I'm sure now, especially now that they've switched over to a paid site. I mean, this site's been around since I think 2014. So for like 4 years, they've been giving this away for free. And clearly they've done a lot of work to upgrade it and update the site. And I think it's completely fair that they are now charging for it. So basically, yeah, so that's kind of what I just wanted to show you guys today. If you have any questions, if you want to know more about it, if you want to go and check out my store and you can look at more of my listings and how I use the measurements. I think it's a great tool. I don't know if there's any others out there like it. For whatever reason, I came across this one back in the day when I very first started listing on eBay, and it just really worked for me. So I like it a lot. I think it's an excellent way to kind of show people, you know, what the true measurements are of the items that they're going to be buying. So hopefully you can reduce the number of potential returns. And like I said, I also really think that it really helps to make your listing look more professional. It gives it just like kind of another level of class. So yeah, so check it out, guys. Just see if it's something that maybe would be helpful to you. It's always good to be looking for new ways to kind of improve your listings, make what you have to offer a little bit better. And you should always be looking at different tools. And sometimes you do have to spend a little money in order to make money. You know, it's worth it. It's worth your time and effort and a little bit of money to invest in your business. Because remember, you are trying to reduce returns, and especially now with, you know, people being concerned about free returns. I get it. So let's make sure that our buyers know exactly what they're getting and there aren't any surprises, and hopefully it will be helpful to them as well. All right. All right. So that is it for this part of the video. All right, guys, thanks for watching. And like I said, I was going to include a little surprise here at the end for you guys. So just wait for it.
That's a good baby. That's a good baby. That's a good baby. That's a good baby. Here's a good baby. That's a good baby. That's a good baby.